What a privilege it is to be a part of this historic event. And on behalf of the IMB family and on behalf of the Chitwood family, congratulations to you, Dr. Greenway, to you, Carla, to Wade, and to Caroline. And double congratulations to the Southwestern family and the family of the Southern Baptist Convention of Churches. The Lord has given us one of His most gifted servants and one of my closest friends to serve as the president of this institution. Dr. Greenway served well when he served in Kentucky. He will serve us well in Texas. He brings what I believe is needed for this hour, a vision for our working together for the sake of the kingdom. It is to that vision that I want to turn our thoughts for the next few moments. The English Standard Version of the Bible, a verse that you're well familiar with, Proverbs 29:18, reads, "Where there is no prophetic vision, the people cast off restraint, but blessed is he who keeps the law." A footnote offers this alternate reading, "Where there is no prophetic vision, the people are discouraged." But you probably memorized the verse as I did in the much more forceful King James Version that states, "Where there is no vision, the people perish." But which is it? When vision is absent, do people cast off restraint, or do they become discouraged, or do they perish? The Hebrew verb in question is translated as let go or let alone as a literal translation. What happens when an institution is let go or let alone without a leader, or let alone with a leader who lacks vision? It can cast off restraint and go in a host of directions that, even as Dr. Moeller has warned us, is not the way for a Southern Baptist institution rooted in the truth of Scripture, a confessional fidelity, to go. If let go or let alone, those who are part of that institution, as alternate reading suggests, can quickly become discouraged when there is no unifying vision and direction for the institution. The institution can even become vulnerable and, as the King James Version ominously states, perish. Full is the graveyard of institutions that lost their vision or were led by men who had no vision. So should we take Proverbs 29:18 to mean that the absence of vision means that the people would cast off restraint, that they would become discouraged, or that they would perish? Yes, it means all of that. That is why Southwestern Seminary must be driven by vision. But what is that vision? As much as I would like to write the vision statement for this seminary, it's not my place. The wording falls to Dr. Greenway and his governing board. Might I, however, make one observation and one suggestion about that? I take your silence as permission. Thank you. Admittedly, it may seem strange that I would even ask the opportunity to make an observation and a suggestion about the vision of this seminary, since I had never entered a building on this campus until today. In 2002, however, I learned about the vision of Southwestern when I walked through the doors of the International Mission Board to begin serving as a trustee. Within no time, I drew the conclusion that you could only work at the IMB if you were, as you folk like to say, a Southwesterner. There may have been a staff member hiding in the corner somewhere or down in the mailroom who had slipped through the cracks and was not a graduate of Southwestern Seminary, but there weren't any that I found. The fact that Southwesterners were leading the largest Christian missionary sending agency in the history of the church was not lost on me, and it was all I needed to know about the vision of Southwestern Seminary. I didn't need to read the seminary's vision statement. In fact, I'd never done so until today. But it was obvious that Southwestern had a Great Commission vision that knew no rival in Southern Baptist life. Each seminary in 2002 was doing its part in preparing God-called Southern Baptists for ministry and for missions, but Southwestern was known as the seminary that trained the proverbial lion's share of our missionaries and almost all of our IMB leadership. Fast forward 16 years, when last fall I walked through the doors of the International Mission Board again, and someone said, "Good morning, Mr. President." What I found was something very different at the IMB. There were still a few Southwesterners left, but very few. And I couldn't help but wonder, what has changed? Hear me now, I'm not suggesting that men and women from Southern or Southeastern or Gateway or Midwestern or New Orleans shouldn't be working at 3806 Monument Avenue in Richmond, Virginia. I hold both the MDiv and the PhD from Southern Seminary. I like my job, and it's not yet time for another IMB president. I'm just making an observation. Now allow me to make a suggestion about the vision of this seminary. I'm not trying to meddle, Dr. Greenway. Well, maybe just a little bit. But you and I have been friends since the day you showed up as a punk preacher at the age of 24 in Kentucky. Thankfully, you soon married Carla, and she got the punk out of the preacher, but I've also been your pastor. I've been your state exec. I've been one of those go-to evangelism and leadership profs on your Graham School faculty, and I drove your son to school for 3.5 years, so I've earned the right to make a suggestion. Here's my suggestion. Whatever Southwestern Seminary was doing that resulted in thousands upon thousands of graduates packing a few belongings into a crate, kissing their parents and loved ones goodbye, and spending decades of their lives taking the gospel to the unreached in Africa and Asia and Europe, Central and South America, do it again. Whatever Southwestern Seminary was doing that resulted in those same graduates being willing to endure permanent travelers, well, let's just say stomach problems, bouts of dengue fever and malaria, accept the ongoing risk posed by typhoons and hurricanes and deadly diseases and deadly snakes, and sleep on the floor of their apartments at night so that the gunfire that occasionally shattered their windows would not hit them or their children. Whatever Southwestern Seminary was doing, do it again. Whatever Southwestern Seminary was doing that resulted in those same graduates being willing to go to the field on ships and planes and return from the field in caskets, do it again. Whatever Southwestern Seminary was doing that resulted in those graduates being recognized as the most passionate evangelists and strategic missiologists, the most effective Great Commission leaders being produced by Southern Baptists, please, for the sake of a lost and dying world, for the sake of the 155,252 people today from the nations who will die and spend an eternity in hell, please, for their sake, Dr. Greenway, do it again. Let the vision of this school be the vision of that great multitude from every nation, from all tribes and peoples and languages, standing before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed in white robes with palm branches in their hands and crying out with a loud voice, "Salvation belongs to our God who sits on the throne and unto the Lamb." Where there is no vision, the people perish. Lead with vision, Dr. Greenway, that fewer might perish, and we will follow. God bless you, my brother.